Welcome, beautiful Sigma ladies. If you think she's quiet, think again. She's calculating your entire psychological blueprint. There's a certain type of woman who doesn't fit any mold because she built her own out of titanium and silence. She's not loud, not needy, and definitely not impressed. You won't find her broadcasting her life on social media or screaming for validation in group chats. She's the one who listens while others talk too much, who disappears and returns sharper, colder, and 10 moves ahead. In a world obsessed with being seen, the Sigma female is terrifyingly invisible, and that's exactly why she's powerful. Fun fact: studies in behavioral psychology show that the most accurate social predictors aren't the loudest voices in the room. They're the ones who observe in silence. Translation: she already knows what you're going to do next, and you probably won't like it. She's not hard to get. She's impossible to own. And if you think her coldness is a weakness, let's just say, freezers don't burn, but they preserve things long enough to outlast the flames. Let's peel back the layers of a woman who doesn't want your approval, doesn't need your attention, and just might be quietly reprogramming the world from the shadows. Ready? Number 1. They study people like case studies, not companions. Sigma females don't approach people the way most do. While others are busy trying to bond, fit in, or be liked, Sigma females are quietly studying the room like it's a living lab. They observe everything: your body language, your tone, the contradictions in your words, the way you respond to pressure. They're not connecting emotionally right away. They're gathering data. It's not personal, it's strategic. From the moment you interact with them, you're already being profiled, dissected, and filed away into mental categories you'll never see. This doesn't mean they're cold-hearted robots. It means they understand that people are patterns. They know that trust is earned over time and that most social behavior is surface-level performance. While others fall headfirst into relationships, friendships, or alliances, Sigma females are still in the background figuring out what makes everyone tick. They don't get attached fast, not because they can't, but because they want to know exactly who they're dealing with before investing a single ounce of energy. They notice the things most people miss: how someone looks at others when they think no one's watching, how someone treats people they don't need anything from. A Sigma female catches these details instantly, and they weigh more to her than anything someone says outright. Words are cheap. Patterns are proof. What makes it all the more chilling is how quietly she does it. You won't feel her scanning you. You'll think you're leading the conversation, when in reality, she's leading the evaluation. By the time you think you're starting to understand her, she already has a full psychological blueprint of you, and she hasn't even decided if you're worth her time yet. That's the kind of intelligence people often mistake for mystery. It's not mystery, it's precision. The Sigma female doesn't rush to connect because for her, people are puzzles, and she never forces a piece that doesn't fit. Number 2. Emotional diplomacy is their secret weapon. Sigma females have mastered something most people struggle with their entire lives: the ability to stay calm when it matters most. This isn't about being numb or pretending not to care, it's emotional diplomacy. The skill of managing emotions like a high-level negotiation, not a public meltdown. They don't get caught up in outbursts or drama because they understand one simple truth: in power dynamics, the most reactive person always loses. Where others wear their hearts on their sleeves, Sigma females keep theirs under strict lock and key. It's not that they don't feel deeply, they often do, but they know better than to hand their emotional reactions to people who haven't earned that access. If someone insults them, they don't lash out. If someone tries to manipulate them, they don't flinch. That poker face isn't fake, it's trained. Their emotional silence is often mistaken for coldness, but in reality, it's a conscious choice. Silence makes people uncomfortable. It creates space for others to unravel while the Sigma female watches in absolute control. They don't suppress their emotions, they redirect them. Hurt becomes focus. Anger becomes fuel. Disappointment becomes strategy. Every feeling is acknowledged but processed behind the scenes where no one can use it against them. Because they know that in most environments, especially professional, competitive, or even romantic ones, being emotionally exposed is like bleeding in shark-infested waters. That's why Sigma females often seem impossible to provoke. People try to push their buttons only to find out she has none. Or if she does, she's hidden them in places you'll never reach. This unnerving calm gives her the upper hand in conflict negotiation and manipulation. While others burn out from emotional overload, she's still playing chess 5 moves ahead. Cool, calculated, and unreadable. Emotional diplomacy is her secret weapon, and most people don't even realize they've already lost until it's too late. Number 3, they are obsessively self-evolving. Sigma females are not on some spiritual journey to find themselves. That phrase to them sounds passive, like waiting around for a personality to show up. They don't wait. They build. Every habit, every skill, every layer of their identity is intentional. They're not drifting through life hoping to stumble into purpose. They're engineers of their own evolution. Reinvention isn't a phase, it's a lifestyle. They treat themselves like a never-finished blueprint. If something about them isn't working, whether it's a mindset, a relationship, or even the way they speak, they don't justify it. They upgrade it. They don't ask for permission, encouragement, or approval. If something needs to be destroyed to make room for something better, they'll burn it without blinking. That includes old versions of themselves. Sentimentality doesn't stop them from moving forward. This obsessive self-evolution makes them unpredictable in the best way. One year she's quiet and observant, the next she's launching a business, training in combat sports, or learning a new language just because she can. And it's not for attention. In fact, she usually does all this in private. When people finally notice the change, she's already 10 steps deeper into the next version of herself. She tracks her weaknesses like a strategist tracks enemy lines. If she's emotionally reactive, she'll learn discipline. If she's socially awkward, she'll study body language and persuasion. She doesn't accept, "That's just how I am." For her, that's the enemy. Comfort zones are death traps. She outgrows them before they even start to feel safe. This constant evolution keeps her one step ahead of everyone who's stuck in loops of repetition, seeking comfort or clinging to outdated versions of themselves. Sigma females don't wait for life to shape them. They do the shaping. And if you think you figured her out, that's only because she let you, for now. Wait a little longer and you'll meet someone completely new. Again. Number 4. They don't date, they strategically engage. Sigma females don't date in the way most people do. They don't scroll for attention, they don't entertain boredom, and they definitely don't invest in potential. For them, relationships aren't about finding someone to complete them. They're about aligning with someone who doesn't interfere with their momentum. Love, by itself, is never enough. If the connection doesn't elevate their mission, sharpen their mind, or at the very least, leave their peace intact, it's not worth the energy. They're strategic with their time and brutally selective with their emotional investments. They don't crave companionship the way others do. They crave clarity. They want to know, does this person bring value to my vision, or are they a distraction in disguise? Most people don't make it past this filter. That's not because Sigma females are emotionally unavailable. It's because they're unwilling to negotiate with chaos, inconsistency, or emotional dependency. They study the fine print of behavior. Words mean nothing if actions don't match. Performative love doesn't impress them. They see through flattery, empty gestures, and superficial compatibility faster than most people realize they're being assessed. And when they sense misalignment, they don't explain, complain, or spiral. They simply disconnect, instantly and cleanly. No drama, no tears, just gone. And the most unnerving part, they don't look back. For a Sigma female, engaging romantically is like merging 2 operating systems. If it creates friction, if it slows down her software, if it introduces bugs, she deletes the program without hesitation. Emotional survival comes first. Stability, intelligence, respect, and shared direction. Those are her non-negotiables. This approach may seem cold to those used to fairy tales and codependency, but for the Sigma female, love isn't a fantasy. It's a calculated risk. She'll take it only when the numbers make sense, and if they don't, she won't stay around to be convinced. Number 5. They are willing to be the villain if it gets them closer to the truth. Sigma. Females are not in the business of pleasing people. They're in the business of staying honest with themselves no matter the cost. If telling the truth makes them the villain, so be it. If standing their ground makes others uncomfortable, that's not their problem. They don't perform for applause, and they definitely don't trade authenticity for acceptance. In fact, they're often most dangerous when people think they're cold, distant, or arrogant, because that's when they're at their clearest and most unbothered. They're not rude, they're real. And being real often means saying the things people don't want to hear, doing the things no one else has the guts to do, and cutting off situations others tolerate out of fear of being seen as difficult. That label doesn't scare them. Neither does being misunderstood. While most people are busy managing how they're perceived, the Sigma female is managing her principles, her boundaries, and her forward motion. Approval is cheap. It can be bought, begged for, or manipulated. But truth, that's a different currency altogether. One most people are too afraid to invest in. Not her. She knows that being honest might isolate her. She knows that not sugarcoating things might cost her relationships, opportunities, or fake peace. But she'd rather walk alone in truth than be surrounded by lies that feel good. And she knows exactly what happens when you challenge people's illusions. You become the villain in their story. But she's fine with that, because her life isn't their story, it's hers. Villainy in her world is often just misunderstood independence. Being called cold is usually code for she didn't let me control her. Being called difficult often means she refused to shrink. That's the price of clarity, and she pays it with zero hesitation. Because while others are selling their souls for validation, she's buying her freedom with brutal honesty. Number 6. They see through masculine and feminine games alike. Sigma females move through the world like seasoned code breakers. They don't just navigate gender roles, they decode and dissect them. They've watched how masculinity often hides behind control and how femininity sometimes manipulates through charm. But instead of choosing sides, they remain outside the system studying it. They don't fall for dominant posturing or sugar-coated submission. They see both for what they are. Tactics, tools, performances, and they'll use either one if it serves a higher purpose. They're not here to be trophies, nor do they care to be warriors in anyone's ideological war. You won't catch them parroting surface-level empowerment slogans or playing damsel to boost a man's ego. They know the games: alpha male bluster, feminine flirtation, helplessness as strategy, aggression as authority, and they treat them all like chess pieces, not sacred rules. That's what makes them dangerous in the best way. They're fluent in both languages, but loyal to neither. They can out-charm a room if they want to. They can out-intimidate one too. But they don't need to rely on either trick. They'll play soft if it disarms. They'll go stone-faced if it disrupts. And most of the time they do nothing at all, because watching others squirm under their silence is often more revealing than anything they could say. While others are locked in power struggles, trying to be the alpha, the queen, the provider, the prize, the Sigma female is already 10 steps removed, studying the pattern like a bored analyst watching a predictable game. She doesn't get pulled in emotionally. She doesn't pick a side. She picks the strategy. And if she ever does play the game, it's only because she's rigged the outcome. This is why she can't be boxed in, labeled, or controlled. She's not playing for gendered power. She's playing for total autonomy. And she knows how to speak both dialects to get there. Number 7. They are ghostwriters of other people's success. Sigma females have a strange relationship with credit. They don't crave it. They don't need applause, public validation, or their names in bold letters. What they care about is control, influence. The quiet power that shapes decisions without needing a spotlight. That's why you'll often find them behind the scenes, designing strategies, solving problems, making things move, while someone else stands in front, taking the credit with a polished smile. To the outside world, it might look like they're just supporting characters, but in reality, they're the architects, the fixers, the brains behind the entire operation. They might be the advisor in the corner, the strategist in the back room, the unassuming partner no one really pays attention to, until everything starts falling apart when she walks away. And here's the catch. She knows it. She knows exactly how much power she holds. She's aware that her absence can be more destructive than her presence is appreciated. But she doesn't need to flaunt it. For her, the work itself is the reward. Knowing she's the reason something succeeded, even if no one else knows it, is enough. It's not humility, it's precision. Public recognition can make you a target. Praise can breed expectations or envy. Sigma females avoid all that noise by staying in control of the outcome, not the narrative. They know how to win without waving a flag, and they're more than willing to let others shine on stage while they run the show from behind the curtain. That's what makes them so dangerous in environments built on ego. They don't compete for attention, they manipulate the system that distributes it. And when it's time to make a move, they don't ask for permission. They flip the entire script, then leave before anyone realizes who wrote it in the first place. Success, to a Sigma female, isn't about being seen. It's about being undeniable, even in silence. Number 8. They're more dangerous because they don't look it. Sigma females are a paradox in the best way. They're often underestimated because they don't make a scene, they don't draw attention, and they certainly don't need to be loud to assert their presence. In fact, they do the opposite. They operate in silence, blending in with the crowd, while quietly studying everything and everyone around them. And that, right there, is what makes them so dangerous. While others are busy showing off their power, their status, or their personality, the Sigma female keeps her cards close. She doesn't need to be the loudest voice in the room, because she understands that true power doesn't need to announce itself, it's felt. She knows that while people are busy chasing the spotlight, the real power lies in the shadows, in the space where no one is watching. And it's in that space where she works, unnoticed and undetected, until it's too late. Her anonymity gives her an incredible advantage. People let their guard down around her. They think she's harmless, uninvolved, or indifferent, because she's not making waves. But what they don't realize is that she's studying them, calculating her next move, and taking mental notes on weaknesses and opportunities. And when the time is right, when the pieces are in place, she can dismantle entire systems, relationships, or reputations with the precision of someone who has been waiting in the wings for exactly this moment. It's not a matter of brute force, it's a matter of timing and subtlety. She doesn't need to show aggression or make threats. She doesn't need to be flashy or confrontational. She works with quiet efficiency, often manipulating things from behind the scenes. And by the time her influence takes shape, no one will have seen her coming. She's already moved on, leaving others scrambling to figure out what just happened. This quiet, unassuming approach is what makes her a predator in plain sight. While others are distracted by noise, she's setting the trap, and when it snaps shut, it's already too late to escape. Number 9. They hack their own psychology like a system. Sigma females don't just look at their weaknesses as obstacles. They see them as opportunities. Most people spend their lives trying to avoid or hide their flaws, but not the Sigma female. She knows exactly what makes her tick, what triggers her, what scars her, and instead of running from these things, she uses them to her advantage. Her emotional triggers aren't liabilities, they're her power. Her traumas aren't signs of vulnerability, they're her strategy. She doesn't just understand her psychology, she manipulates it, bending it to fit her goals. Where others get caught in the grip of their emotions, letting triggers send them spiraling or render them powerless, the Sigma female sees those exact moments as fuel. When she feels anger, she turns it into focus. When she feels hurt, she turns it into resilience. Those vulnerabilities that might break someone else. For her, they become the tools she needs to propel herself forward. She's fully aware of her flaws, and instead of letting them define her, she reprograms them, turning them into assets. She's a master at this inner hacking. If she's been burned by trust in the past, she'll use that betrayal to refine her judgment, making her more discerning in the future. If she's experienced loss, she'll channel that grief into a driving force that propels her forward, fueling her with a purpose that others can't even comprehend. She turns weakness into wisdom and pain into power, transforming emotional turmoil into a finely tuned tactical advantage. It's a brutal form of self-awareness, one that most people are too afraid to explore. She doesn't just look inward for validation or healing, she looks inward for leverage. For a Sigma female, self-reflection isn't about finding peace or soothing her wounds. It's about optimizing herself, enhancing her edge, and ensuring that every part of her, no matter how dark or painful, serves her in some way. She's not a victim of her psychology, she's its architect, constantly tweaking and refining it like a system that will never stop evolving. Number 10. They don't want to be understood. That's their camouflage. Sigma females don't seek to be understood, and that's exactly why they're so powerful. They've learned that the less you reveal about yourself, the more control you maintain. Being an open book in a world full of predators is a dangerous game. That's why the Sigma female keeps her inner world a mystery. She doesn't owe anyone her story, her emotions, or her motivations. In fact, she thrives in the confusion she creates. To the outside world, she might seem elusive, distant, or even unpredictable, but to her, that's precisely the point. Transparency isn't a virtue in her world, it's a vulnerability. The more people understand about her, the more they can manipulate, influence, or control her. So she keeps her cards hidden, her mind shielded, and her plans veiled in secrecy. She understands the value of being unreadable. The less you know, the less you can leverage against her. By keeping others guessing, she remains untouchable. She doesn't give anyone the satisfaction of figuring her out, because as soon as they do, she'll already have moved on to something else, something they'll never see coming. This isn't about playing games. It's about survival. The moment you become too predictable, too accessible, you've given others power over you. The Sigma female doesn't let that happen. She keeps herself wrapped in layers, never allowing anyone to fully penetrate her personal world. This unpredictability becomes her camouflage, shielding her autonomy from prying eyes. And when she needs to speak, act, or reveal just enough to get what she wants, she does so with surgical precision. She knows how to use her silence, her ambiguity, and her complexity to her advantage. To others, it's maddening. To her, it's freedom. She doesn't want to be understood, because understanding means someone else can control the narrative. And she's not interested in being anyone's pawn. She's interested in being her own master. Number 11. They exploit systems instead of belonging to them. Sigma females aren't here to fit in, they're here to break the system. While others scramble for validation, approval, or a sense of belonging within a structure, the Sigma female stands outside, watching and analyzing. She doesn't play by anyone's rules, nor does she seek acceptance from any established group. Instead, she decodes the systems, whether it's corporate hierarchies, social structures, or digital ecosystems, and finds ways to exploit them for her own gain. Where others blindly conform to expectations, the Sigma female is dissecting them. She understands the unspoken rules of any environment, whether it's the workplace, a social circle, or online platforms, and uses them to her advantage. She doesn't need to climb the ladder because she's already figured out how to make the ladder work for her. She's not obsessed with being part of a community. She's more interested in understanding the underlying dynamics that make the community tick, and then using that knowledge to control her own path. She has a knack for recognizing the flaws in any system, whether it's the bias in corporate structures or the cliques that dominate social groups. She doesn't try to change the system. Instead, she learns its weaknesses and exploits them to move herself forward without ever needing to rely on the system's validation. She's the ultimate outsider because she knows the power of being detached. Her distance gives her clarity. She sees opportunities others miss, loopholes, inconsistencies, and blind spots that she can maneuver through with ease. When others seek acceptance or approval, the Sigma female is busy mastering the game. She doesn't need to belong to a tribe, a team, or a clique. Instead, she's the one silently pulling the strings behind the scenes. While everyone else is playing by the system's rules, she's rewriting them. And she's doing it in a way that leaves others wondering how she's always one step ahead, never realizing that she's the one who's been manipulating the game all along. Number 12. Loyalty to themselves trumps every bond. For a Sigma female, loyalty is a deeply personal concept. It's not about giving everything to friends, family, or romantic partners. It's about remaining unwavering to her own principles, vision, and mission. Her loyalty lies solely with herself. While others may bend to the needs of relationships, trying to please others or fit into molds that compromise their authenticity, she remains steadfast in her own path. She doesn't entertain the idea of sacrificing her values or goals for the sake of maintaining harmony or fulfilling societal expectations. Friendships and familial ties are important, but they are secondary to her sense of self. If someone or something doesn't align with her vision or values, she'll cut it off without hesitation, regardless of emotional attachment or history. It's not about being cold, it's about protecting her autonomy and ensuring that nothing or no one gets in the way of her personal evolution. Loyalty for a Sigma female isn't about blind devotion to others, it's about loyalty to growth, to her ideals, and to her own sense of purpose. Relationships come and go, but her mission remains constant. If a person or a group stands in the way of her progress, she doesn't hesitate to sever the connection, no matter how painful. She knows that true loyalty to herself is the only kind that guarantees freedom, peace, and long-term success. This doesn't mean she's incapable of deep connections. She is, but they must be founded on mutual respect and alignment with her mission. If those criteria aren't met, her loyalty to herself will always take precedence. To her, personal integrity and autonomy are non-negotiable. Everything else, no matter how meaningful, can be let go if it compromises her peace or her journey. In a world full of noise, expectations, and prescribed roles, Sigma females stand as the quiet disruptors. They are the architects of their own lives, carving paths that others can't even see. They don't seek validation, don't chase approval, and certainly don't play by anyone else's rules. Their strength lies in their autonomy, an independence so profound that it allows them to shape reality on their own terms. Where others might follow, they lead with silent precision. Where others seek clarity, they thrive in the complexity of ambiguity. Sigma females aren't here to be understood, they're here to be uncontainable. They don't need the world's recognition because they already possess something far more valuable: total freedom. Freedom to think, to act, to exist without the chains of conformity or the weight of others' expectations. They are the masters of their own destinies, navigating life with quiet intelligence, strategic depth, and an unmatched resilience that allows them to rise, thrive, and leave behind a legacy that will be felt long after they've moved on to their next conquest. Their brilliance isn't loud. It's the kind that works in the background, shaping outcomes with subtlety, disarming opponents with silence, and rewriting the rules without ever being noticed. Sigma females don't need to be seen to be powerful. Their influence speaks through their actions, and their intelligence echoes in the decisions they make without saying a word. So if you ever find yourself in the presence of a Sigma female, don't look for her in the obvious places. She's not there to be found. She's already 10 steps ahead, operating in the shadows where true power lives. And she's doing it on her own terms, in her own time, and with a mastery that few can ever comprehend. If you found yourself captivated by the power and depth of the Sigma female, then make sure to hit that subscribe button and join this journey of discovery. There's more to uncover, more layers to peel back, and more truth to unveil. Don't miss out. Subscribe now and stay tuned for the next powerful insight. Your future self will thank you.